That's becoming a new Tinder. A lot of people are literally jumping off of all these dating apps or even social slip into the DMs. Like, why am I doing that?
The Kid Carson Show is taped at MindfulMEDS Studio inside Conscious Lab, downtown Vancouver, Canada. This episode powered by PHMX, stem cells, breathwork, even ayahuasca.
I have had the most support, hands down, from your listeners coming to see us. It's been epic. And so I'm like, these are my people, man. When you find who your people are, service the shit out of them.
To learn more, find the link in the show notes.
Kid Carson Show.
Rob Toth, what's up, my man?
Kid Carson.
I'm excited for this conversation because we're in a very interesting time with a loneliness epidemic that seems to be happening. And we've been through this place where we've been chasing followers and clickbait and whatnot, and now we're moving into a new space that you say is community. Yeah,
like you said, exactly. This for years. I mean, certainly a decade ago when we launched Audience, which is right now is our 10-year. This month's the 10-year anniversary. It was such a focus on brands. There's so many headlines about Marriott looking to become a media company, and everyone's looking at, Red Bull and GoPro of how they took content and they built such a business around it. Because as soon as you put out a lot of content, you get customers. So there's this big push from all the brands saying, well, let's just do the same thing. Let's just pump out a lot of content. Let's get that attention. Let's get that audience without factoring, well, what do we do with that once we capture that audience? So there's not really a focus back then on, how to monetize or what to do with it further. And that's why back then we call that kind of the audience focus era. But that kind of shifted probably a few years ago, and even more so, AI just said, well, let's just rapid fire that. So AI took that to a brand new level. I don't want to bring everything back to AI. But obviously it has impacted where now we're looking at, okay, well, that's a cultural shift happening with, we want to be part of the conversation. It's not just, the content coming out and we read it, engage with it, follow it, or whatnot. We want to be part of that. How do we create a community around that? So
you've rebranded to Songbird.
Songbird, yeah.
Yeah.
Songbird is just also, it's a bit of play, it's a metaphor. Songbird obviously is a subset of birds, and songbirds have a better vocal system, so they can attract a better mate. So we're playing off the fact that we will attract a better client for you, because we do obviously business sales, and we do strategic business sales, so we don't go out like fly all over the place, so to speak. So we use the metaphor of the songbird of it. We have qualified sales reps in-house who will actually knock on the right door and make the sale. But in terms of our work, I mean, the bigger shift besides the rebrand is moving past this focus of just the media companies who are getting Google traffic and then selling ads, which has been the dominant play for a lot of, obviously upon blogs and authority sites that we've all engaged with. And now looking at, well, what are we doing beyond that? How are you building, again, a community around a membership, some sort of digital interaction? How are you giving that community a voice within your own ecosystem?
Like I notice even young people online, there seems to be this movement, even with kids, who are recognizing, hey, I'm spending too much time on my phone. They want to even get off their phones and do more in real life club stuff. What's happening culturally?
That's it. I mean, the IRL, in real life, I mean, that is the key word right now. And it's not just, I mean, Gen Z, we can say is Gen Z's pushing that, sure. But at the end of the day, it's a human thing. It's not a Gen Z thing. But I think we're craving more authentic connections where there's the social renaissance, if you will, of socializing in real life, where, if you look at what social networks are, they're not really social. They did start as that promise, gather your closest friends and engage with them and swap stories and photos. But that changed a long time ago. We all know that. So now we're so digital fatigued that there's a lot of people looking at, well, I don't want more of this. I don't want a Tinder swipe. I don't want a Facebook message. I want to meet face to face and have a dialogue with my friends, my family. So there's a lot of shift over that towards that to moving offline. There's entire clubs set around the offline club, for example, is that's the whole premise. We will organize events where you can't bring your phone. You're not taking photos. There's no selfies, and that's just one example. Then there's private clubs where people are joining. We're seeing peak numbers, and if you look at the aggregate from private clubs that are focused on, let's say, business, sports clubs that are, let's say, a tennis club and yacht clubs and so on, or just even creative clubs like as an art culture type clubs. Any type of community and tribe that's happening where they're saying, be part of our tribe, they're seeing memberships go up. And we're looking at 60% plus growth for most of the memberships, for most of the clubs that have memberships in the last 3 years. And then the fun part is a lot of these kind of private clubs and even the sports clubs, like I was saying, that added in like a membership element. These things grew. There's more that have launched in the last 3 years than in the previous 30 before that. So
really?
It's
last 3 years?
Yeah, such a boom in the last 3 to 4 years. There's more that have opened up than in the previous 30 years, 3 decades prior to that. Because, again, there's so much of this, no, you know what, I don't want more digital to that. But if I can touch on another topic, because here's the fun part, is the remote work that that drove this is one of the prime gears. So everyone said, well, wow, we don't have to go in the office, we can work remote. But then what I think people realize is, well, wait a minute, I kind of missed that human interaction I had at the office. Even if I didn't necessarily like the people I work with, I missed that human interaction.
Even if I don't like them.
Yeah. So I mean, but you still miss a dialogue, and so well, how can I replace it? And so they're looking at, well, where can I go? And of course, that's why co-working boomed as well. But now all these areas where there's not just an office and a co-working space, but again, that whole community around it, these is what people are flocking to. And there's ways that business can put this in place in digital formats and in physical formats as well.
I even noticed, like, living in a building, like, I enjoy when I get on the elevator and there's a few other people on the elevator. Right. Yeah. And you have, like, you tell a dad joke or something, and you have a little, you see a woman taking her garbage down to, like, P2. You're like, doing your chores today? Like, these little interactions with people. Yeah. I forget what they call that. They're, like, not relationships, but they're, third or fourth degree relationships. So just like the Uber driver, for example.
The single serving relationship, to quote Fight Club, right?
Right, yeah. It's just, those do give you a boost. Yeah. So, and we are going through a loneliness epidemic.
And that's just it. That's exactly it. The loneliness economy is something that started being a lot more coined.
What's it called? Loneliness economy? The
loneliness economy, yeah. And it's essentially just looking at everything that's tying to the reality that all the digital fatigue has created. So it's not the first time it's being coined, but it's becoming more and more popular, coming up showing more and more in terms of in therapy sessions, but a business culture and so on. Loneliness economy simply just states that there's a lot of people who are so connected digitally, but it's a synthetic connection. It's not real. That we have all these things connecting, so it's actually pulling energy from us, so to speak. But we're not getting the real fulfillment of that close connection, and therefore we actually feel lonely, or there's a degree of that for loneliness. And so it's all these loneliness economy would be, of course, part of that is, well, where can we go to offset that? Well, what kind of membership can I join? What kind of club can I join? And often you're not paying you're not paying Jericho Tennis Club necessarily to play tennis. You're paying, which is a great club. You don't go there just to pay tennis. You want to be part of that ecosystem. You want to afterwards hang out aloud. You want to mingle with, oh, you're here too. Oh, how was your game this week? So it's those are things that people are craving now. So
yeah. Hey guys, it's Kid. If you're serious about getting known before AI makes personal branding almost impossible, you're going to love this. Step into a premium interview experience with Kid Carson. That's me. And collapse time on your growth. We're going to tap into my network, skyrocket your exposure, and help the world fall in love with you. I really do pride myself on making you shine. That was always my favorite part of my radio days, having a new author in or having a local business owner in and just making them shine. I love getting the big names in here too, don't get me wrong. Joe Dispenza, 50 Cent, Eckhart Tolle. I got to interview Chip Wilson. That's amazing. But I'm also really obsessed with talking to the up-and-comers who know they have a powerful message for the world. So if that's you, go to kidcarson.com/promo. If your message can help this amazing community who listens to this podcast, then, this might just be a great fit. So hope to see you soon. Find the link to find out more in the show notes. And now back to the episode. If someone's like, I'd love to start a club, but what would I start a club about?
Yeah, the premise, I think the big idea, if you will, that I think we're really, from a business, obviously our focus is which businesses are doing something with this and how can we be involved in from a business capacity. But the reality, the key idea behind that I also cheerlead is that the fact that community is a direction we're all going to. Because, and I'll come back to that in a second, but because of AI, because of a whole host of reasons, but it could be done. That's on a personal level. It should be done as a personal level. For example, as in Vancouver, I have friends who are part of a Lotus car club, which I don't know what car clubs do. You have a Lotus, I have a Lotus, and that's cool. And I don't know but I respect that. I'm happy for them for that.
Yeah, you're not even in the car together. You're just driving your cars beside each other, I guess.
But it's a thing. And in Madrid, I know friends there too have a Tesla car club, and again, it's just basically there's a local community of people who have Teslas in the area, and they're on a WhatsApp group, they're on a Facebook group, they chat and they meet, and then we have a Tesla, I have a Tesla, great. But again, it's just now you feel like you're part of a tribe, and that's the biggest thing. And so it doesn't necessarily attract my attention, but if you're a Tesla fan, and that's the denominator you want to use, great. Now I have some people I have a common denominator with them, I can meet up, and that's part of my tribe.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed things like the running clubs. There's the Diplo running club.
Right.
There's the guy I used to love, Blink-182.
Oh, he's doing a running club too?
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say I used to. I still love Blink-182. It's like my, when I was in my 20s, that was but the guy, Travis Barker, the drummer, the big tattoo drummer, he has a running club now.
I didn't know that,
And I was like, this is very interesting. As a lot of these like rocker guys get a bit older, they want to get into more health. But the fact that he started a running club, I thought was pretty neat.
With the running club, though, what's interesting is it's that's becoming a new Tinder. A lot of people are literally jumping off of all these dating apps or even social slip into the DMs. Like, why am I doing that? Why don't I just meet with someone at some sort of physical activity event? And so some of these are becoming places where people are meeting up. I mean, I don't know if High Rocks is big in Vancouver.
What's High Rocks?
Okay, so in Europe, it's an exploding thing. So, it's like CrossFit was a thing. So High Rocks is just a different set of workouts, and it's an aggressive set of workouts, and it has its own kind of cultural following. I think that you guys have, or North America has, like F45 or some of the brands.
Yeah.
Similar idea, but in Europe, that's big. So High Rocks, you don't necessarily go just to do the workouts, because you could do that alone. You take part in the High Rocks community, so you can be part of that tribe who's out there sweating it out with you. It's the same thing with the run clubs. Is that's why Diplo, when they launched that, is obviously you pay your membership, so the whole production team gets, that there's a revenue model to it as a point. But he's got 5,000, 8,000 at this point. I think the last one they recorded 8,000 people coming out for one run, because the whole gimmick is afterwards there's a Diplo DJ set. So it's like a party post-run. So now it wasn't just let's go run together, it's let's go run together and let's go celebrate together afterwards. So that's how you bring the community together, give them a chance to mingle. I think a lot of creators should be looking for, whether it's weird or not, how can we do something to create a dynamic conversation instead of just me being the expert or guru putting out content. How can I get you involved, or how can I get you involved with me so you can interact with me, maybe? But how can I get you involved with other people who are part of the same tribe? Because they're clearly here following the same material because they share some of the same views. So how can I give you a chance to mingle with them? So
interesting. Now, what's funny is you were talking about people maybe ditching Tinder to go into like a running club to meet people. How funny is the difference on Tinder where you're all filtered up?
Yeah.
And then you go to a running club where you're in real person, no filters, and you're sweaty. Right? Like, it's actually a smart...
Yeah,
you're going to find a real deal person, that way.
And that comes back to Gen Z. I mean, Gen Z's been really applauding or pushing this concept of authentic. So that's why, I mean, there's entire apps where you're supposed to take photos instead of Instagram with filters. You're supposed to take a photo just in that moment when the camera snaps, and it could be it could be a photo you would never post on Instagram, but to them, like, it's authentic. And I think whether, again, you put that on a Gen Z or not, I think it's an authentic or human trait to want to pursue something authentic at this point. So, and the other thing is I think a lot of people know, whether it's the Tinder, whether it's the Facebook, whether it's the whatever, you're probably interacting with a lot of AI avatars on there already. And this is like, the number's already there. So
I've been fooled a couple of times.
Right.
The algorithm, as a guy, you're on social media too.
Yeah.
And like, you get attacked.
Yeah.
Some girl, standing there and jumping up and down, and her, her chest is like moving in all sorts of ways. And I've been caught too thinking it's a real person.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's just an AI avatar. It's gotten so good.
Well,
right? Please tell me I'm not the only one that's getting this stuff.
I saw one of those videos, I think, right after I saw you win an award on Instagram the other day. So, yeah.
It's great, right? Yeah. I posted a thing where I was winning an award. Like, it looked like I was winning a Grammy.
Yeah.
And
did a nice little dance.
And I did, I typed in, and make me do a cheesy karate move thing at the end. And I posted it thinking people would think it's hilarious. But I started getting all these messages of people saying, congratulations.
Yeah.
People just aren't there yet where we can recognize that it's fake.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, as that grows, like online, there's a big push now to build your personal brand online, and because the avatars are taking over, and eventually you won't be able to cut through the noise. Did you share that sentiment that you got to build your personal brand now before there is like AI is going to take over and sort of make us invisible online? Like the authentic humans are going to become invisible, is what I mean.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I'm also, the one of the reasons with Songbird we're shifting towards is not just a business decision, it's a personal decision, because again, I'm really championing this idea as well. And fortunately, all the numbers, the financial economic numbers support that, so that's great. But on a personal goal, I also am in the same place where I don't want to keep interacting. Right now, if I interact with a chatbot on most sites, it's a chatbot, so it's an AI. I've had AI calls come through. I'm like, you're AI, hang that up. And you're interacting with social profiles. Even the profile is real, because sometimes the profile itself is invented. But even if the profile is real, you don't know if it's somebody else's, the actual conversation you're having, they're not just using AI to respond. So I'm like, whose intellect am I conversing with? It just feels it still gets a job done. So I'm not anti-AI by any means, but it is inauthentic, and it's something that we're, that's why we're all craving, or many of us are craving this how can we get back to some real? And how do you know if some real? It's beside me, and that's why I think that these clubs and these private memberships are seeing such a boom, because people want to know, is this real? I don't want to guess. With your video, it says Sora on it, so that's a bit surprising. So I think people will have to look for clues on what is. But the reality is, this was going to go so far with AI avatars and AI companions that I think people will keep going, how can I find more authentic relationships, authentic conversations? And the best way to do that is just what's in front of you, who's in front of you, who's offline in real life.
Yeah. Well, we've all heard that story of, there's an older woman who, thought she was dating Brad Pitt.
Right.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and in AI, pictures of him in the hospital. I need money because I can't access my account. She sent, quote unquote, Brad Pitt her life savings.
Yeah.
And then found out it wasn't even really him. So. And
that's sad. And versions of that. I mean, it's I think outside looking in, it's so easy to say, well, why did she do that, and so on. But it's when you're in it, it felt real for her. And I think we're going to get to a point where any of us can be fooled. And I think we all have to be prepped for that. But even if it's not a matter of fooled, because it's not necessarily always malicious, it's just there, and we know it's synthetic. Right now, I would bet that most people have on their playlist in Spotify at least one artist that's AI. That's before we even look at the fact that some of the music that we'd say, pick any major artist, has music being done for them under their own brand, licensed as AI. So meaning they'll still rep it, they'll take it out to concerts, but they didn't write it. So that's already, I think everyone kind of should know. In my opinion, that's been there for a while. But now we're having actual artists on Spotify that are having millions of listens. That if you're not going to find them on tour because they don't exist.
Yeah. So. Honestly, I got to be honest. My favorite album right now is an AI album.
There you go.
And I was like, poo-pooing the whole thing. And then I discovered this band, they're called Fake Music.
Oh.
It's called Fake Music.
Okay.
And it's all like taking modern songs and turning them into like kind of soul, funk, like 50s, 60s. Like
I've heard some of that, yeah.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. Yeah. I'm loving it.
Some rock covers from 1990s and coming back, and
it's like, Guns N' Roses in the style of like 1960s, like soul. And I'm like, dude, this is amazing.
Sweet child of mine.
Yeah. It's like we're getting into a divide, because there's going to be people who, like they say my grandkids will be the generation that starts to marry robots, which seems crazy.
Yep.
So people are going to either go that way, or they're going to go into hardcore IRL only type situations, right?
Yeah, the Her, that was Her or She? Her, right? I think the movie Her from way back when, with Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix. I think if someone's watched it, rewatch it if they haven't seen it recently. I actually just watched it just a year ago, and I felt like that's absolutely going to be reality, and for a pocket of people, because there's certainly certain traits that will of types of people who will gravitate towards that, where the concept of AI companions is already full blown business. AI girlfriends, AI boyfriends, full-blown business. These are AI bots where you step into the house, turn it on, and it'll be like, hey, how was day at work, and so on. It will engage based on previous saved memory, and that's already real. Now, obviously, that quality will get, just like video games, it will get better and better and better, to the point where, and if we then add other tech like holograms and so forth, it just gets weird. But all that's not sci-fi. It's not all Black Mirror. It's literally there, and you will have, just like you're saying, a pocket of people who will gravitate towards that. But that's exactly why so many of us, and including some of those people, will still crave, okay, how do I then also create, have some human relationships?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Kid. So, listen, you've probably seen a couple YouTube videos or whatever about microdosing and how it can cure all these amazing things. Most companies aren't living up to it. MindfulMEDS is. When I discovered them, my mind was blown. I knew I had to partner with them. So, if you're stressed, a little bit of anxiety, I don't know, maybe you're depressed. You got some things going on, man. This could change everything for you. MindfulMEDS gives you the blends with lab-tested psilocybin, natural clarity. This is the most premium microdose you can get. They also have functional mushrooms that don't have any psilocybin in them. It's about finding out what's right for you. Go to their website, take their 3-minute quiz at mindfulmeds.io. I'll get the link in the show notes. Finally available in the U.S.
Save 15% off anything in the MindfulMEDS shop by using promo code KidCarson.
Do you think there's going to be a tougher time for people that are introverts?
Yeah.
Because if you're introverted, maybe you'll go I'm going to have a relationship with an AI. And especially once I get the AI in the robot bodies, like the sex doll robots that look like so real, versus the people who are extroverts, who are more going into in real life events?
Well, it's a very interesting question. But, that same topic is like, I was curious about that. I was like, well, what's the impact of AI avatars and so on expected to be in terms of human psychology and human interaction and so on? So I was curious. So on a previous flight, not the one coming to Vancouver, but on a previous flight, I downloaded a podcast where there's I was expecting an intelligent discussion on the exact same topic. And about a minute into the conversation, I realized there's both podcast hosts are AI.
Yeah, I've experienced that too.
It was like, oh, this is AI. Oh, I'll still listen to it. And it's already there. So expect, where we're going to be when it normalizes a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. We're all just going to be interacting with AI avatars where it's not going to be, this is a chatbot. It's just, hi, I'm Henry. And Henry's going to answer your questions. And we know Henry's fake, but hey, what's up, Henry? And so we're just going to have that dialogue. So anyways, that same conversation, that I was intrigued by that. And there was, the two bots, two AI robots were still discussing the fact that, yeah, you're going to have a situation where introverts can actually gain from that too, because there's a bit of a, let's call it a training ground, almost like when you're trying to learn a language, you can have a talking buddy. So sometimes it can actually support their kind of fear or whatever, depending on how far they're along as an introvert. But the point is, in some cases it can be a win. In some cases they'll go further down that rabbit hole and probably be more removed from society, if you will. So
yeah, man, it's wild.
Yeah.
So this is the case for why in real life events and memberships and clubs is the next big boom.
Yeah, well, and
it's happening.
AI is a big thing, of course, for it. But the reality is that everything else around it is, for example, we've worked with media companies, like I mentioned, for a decade now. So these are the content sites. So when you normally would have Googled a pumpkin pie recipe or fitness tips, and then some websites come up, that's who typically our clients are. And what they were doing for a long time was, again, that model of here's a bunch of content, SEO optimized, Google sends us traffic, advertisers pay us money, and we're good. And we've been always an advocate for a long time, saying that's a baseline. You need to look beyond that and actually build what I would say an actual established business around it. That's a business for revenue sake, but it's not really an ecosystem. You want to build an ecosystem. So whether that was sell products, sell transactional something, capture an email, build a newsletter. But now the push has been really towards give them a voice, because if they're coming into your recipe sites and again and again and again, they probably want it. They share the comment. Okay, well, we like to cook. Let's say baseline. Or there's something in there where if you offer a membership, a digital membership could be fine too. But the best, the most successful these days, and the businesses that are highest value, and in terms of when we sell them, but also that means highest value of the value they put out, is the ones that offer a hybrid membership model. So giving you some sort of members only group, somewhere you can interact with other community members, and then also having the once quarterly whatnot in-person events. If you can put those two and add out to your business, you're gonna have a much more loyal base, and that's really what they're craving. And they will actually talk about it and share. Come join, because they want more people in that tribe as well. So
for someone who's never created a community before, they think this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
How does it work? How do they monetize it?
Yeah, well, actually, I was wondering, where's the Kid Carson community? Because it's the same thing that...
Well, it's funny, because a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I did try that. I tried to build an app.
Yeah.
I had thousands of people on there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Where it was... So it ended up being a collection of just angry people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was everyone just bitching about the world.
Yeah.
And I just felt so disenchanted with it. I'm like, this is not the kind of community that... Every time I opened up the app, I felt like I was getting depressed. So I went the wrong direction, or the timing was wrong. But let's say I was to build another community of some kind.
Well, sure. And first of all, that's what you just said is true. I mean, there's also on a very large scale, private equity throwing hundreds of millions into, we're going to build or buy 40 golf courses or 30 paddle. I don't know, paddle's not a big thing here, but think of it as like pickleball. Very different, but and they'll open up all these memberships, and there's a gung ho about let's just build these things, and I think the mentality of build and they will come is just like Yuri said, is just because you had it in place, that doesn't mean there needs to be a second step of how to engage them. How do I give them some sort of value where they want to stick around? How to create that, vibe and the tone in the community that makes one people stick around, not just an angry mob, which is what, because of timing that happened there. In terms of how you set it up, I mean, first of all, if you're an influencer or creator, you already have an audience. So if you don't have an audience, then it's a whole different conversation in terms of driving traffic, buying leads, and so on. But if you already have an audience, or if you already have a business, you're already a brand. I mean, major luxury brands right now are partnering with the most prestigious private clubs, because they're saying, well, wait a minute, if a private club is charging, and some of these clubs would charge $100,000, $200,000 a year in membership fees, so the more prestigious.
I'd like a club like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to start a club like that.
So model Aman, they're doing a great job. 200,000 I think, and core club, and they're 100,000 I think per member per year. And then of course there's another 15,000 per year for first year initiation fee, and then another 15,000 per year to be a member. But anyway, so then they deliver all their bells and whistles. But the luxury brands are doing the same thing. It's like, do we build a club? Or do we create a community around, we take your community, i.e. the private club, i.e. whatever's are established, and become part of that. Tinder's trying to do that with run clubs right now. So Tinder, because they know, they're just seeing headlines saying run clubs are new Tinder. It turns like, well, wait a minute, that's no good for us. So Tinder's literally just set up partnerships with actually established run clubs saying, hey, we're here too. If you can't build one, do you build it? Do you buy it? Which is where we come in. We typically sell them. Or also do you just partner in? And that's, of course, another avenue to do as well.
Interesting. So where does your business come in? Songbird.
Yeah, so what we sell companies that have community business models. So whether the membership sites or an offline, again, the private clubs and so on. So that's the direction we're shifting to. So we've done 10 years of media companies. That's still our bread and butter. But now we have the team expanded. Now we're focusing, and we've had about 6-7 clients so far. So we're still early in the stage with the membership models. But if a company has these private memberships where they have the 10,000 plus clients. For example, I'll give you a couple examples. So we've worked with a divorce membership site where it's a divorce content site, meaning, when you go through a divorce, there's obviously a lot of factors in that, a lot of questions you might have. So they have a lot of content about that, but they also added on a membership element, which is genius. Because obviously, especially in that point, it's an emotional stage. You want to talk about it. So give them an outlet. Don't just give them articles of how-tos, which is what a lot of media companies do. They built a community where people can interact, a private members area, Zoom calls where people and members can interact with each other, and so on. And because of that, the value they put out was much higher, i.e. the revenues they made was much higher, and therefore what we were able to sell it for is much higher too. So that's just one of the examples of how can we take the audience we have, either as a creator or as a brand, and then build something where we give them a dynamic, and whether it's, again, private group, private forum, or in-person events, but give them a chance to interact with each other. Yeah.
So you help them set that up?
We sell the actual company. So we focus, we're not in an advisory or a setup stage. There's a lot of qualified companies that do that. When you're ready to sell that company for a maximum price, we find strategic buyers for that. So, for example, we've sold metal music side to Sony, because at that point Sony had just acquired a metal music label. So we look for, our specialization, that's where the Songbird metaphor comes in as well, is we find the right buyer. So we attract the right buyer, and that's by way of the process we've run, which is looking for strategic acquirers. But we're essentially an M&A firm, mergers and acquisitions. So it means when you're looking to sell your podcast, you're looking to sell your media company, especially if it has a membership component, we're probably one of the more qualified teams you can speak to.
Okay, and then someone buys it and they figure out a way to monetize it even more.
Sure.
To funnel it into,
well, again, you'll take, this is where, and this is going to happen in my opinion. I'll put, this is my little public crystal ball here. Tinder will acquire run clubs. So, run clubs are monetized. They have memberships. Some of them have major, 50,000, 100,000 plus members paying some X per month to be part of that. So typically it's, or an annual 49 per year just to be part of this run club, whatever. So there's a fees, there's a revenue model around that. But Tinder's not going to, or Tinder or any of the Match.com or any of these companies are not going to buy these things because they need the extra, 4 million. They want that because they want to be in the, hey, you guys think this new Tinder? We'll be with you. We'll support you.
Yeah.
So these kind of acquisitions are what's known as strategic acquisitions, because there's higher leverage reason for them, a brand, to make that acquisition. So it's not just a random Tim and Tom coming to buy the company or any random private equity. It's basically a brand who's saying, hey, how can we better monetize or better gain from this thing you have here, which is typically, in our case, media companies and memberships.
Let's say you're not at that level. Let's say you're thinking right now, I want to start like a club, do something. Any insights on how to build it, or
as a business or personal? Give me which direction.
Let's say a small business.
Okay, small business. Well, I'm going to touch on personal either way. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I want to answer.
You say whatever you want to say, brother. Okay.
So for personal, it could just be as simple as you throw up an event, and this is the most basic thing, but throw up an event on Eventbrite and Meetup.com around one key theme. So we play golf every Friday or whatever, or we have a book club for this community, so Lynn Valley Book Club or whatever, and you create that thing, and then you'll have a pocket of people around there. And it's not going to be, you're not going to monetize that. This is for, but you get a sense of, okay, well, this works, and then you can either choose to scale that up, or now you have more reason and motivation to get involved with larger clubs, especially because there's a lot of major clubs already established, but some of them will charge you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year annual fees, and not everyone's, do I really gain enough out of that? So I think a baby steps is just organize something, and these days we have so many tools in place. It's not much. It's just figure out what that core theme is and bring some people together. But as a business, though, if you have, whether it's foot traffic because you're a retail establishment, I mean, take a look at Lululemon, which was born, of course, here in Vancouver. Lululemon became big, as kind of, I think everyone knows as part of the story, is they start hosting yoga instructional yoga classes in their retail stores. And these days, it's kind of, a lot of people are doing that experiential marketing where they're doing something. You come in, grab a coffee, if someone's doing your hair, and then you buy this expensive dress or whatever. There's combinations of this.
Yeah.
But Lululemon was one of the, not the, but one of the pioneers of this concept. And so you went in there to buy these yoga pants, which back then was not even a thing. People were just going to, yoga, which was not even that popular. They were going there in just regular joggers. So to buy these quote-unquote yoga pants, which is brand new, you went to yoga class. And then that's how. So if you're a retail outlet, how else can we create a community around a product that isn't just come buy our thing? We're gonna give you something, and you might even charge an admission fee for that. So you still maybe want to cover your costs, but you give them some sort of value. So if you're a bar, you do maybe mixology courses. If you're a cafe, you teach barista courses, and then you have that, or you have a coffee flavoring Friday, And by the way, there's a place in Budapest I'm thinking of literally does exactly that. So these kind of like, how do we bring people who are coffee lovers come to our place all the time? How do we bring them together? And people do show up, and they just talk about coffee. They sip different types of, there's Colombian, there's a Brazilian,
yeah.
Which is at night, by the way. So it's interesting. They're sipping on a bunch of espressos, and I don't know if they're sleeping
at nighttime. Yeah. No, there's a cool place in Vancouver called Toth.
Okay.
That opened up a few years ago, and that's the first time I really realized, oh wow, this is the future. Yeah. Where it's like it's a workout classes, but it's attached to a cafe. So, and a little restaurant, and it's all like healthy eating. Yeah. So you do your workout class, and then afterwards, everyone just goes next door, right? Or it's in the same big space, has a coffee, has a salad, or some kind of cool, and then now they've added a little clothing store where you can buy stuff. So yeah, it's an experiential place, but it's in real life.
Make it dynamic. Yeah. Give people a chance to have more than just come. I mean, they're there probably if they like your brand. They're there to spend money, yes, but give them a chance to do more. And whether it's you can start with that. So I think you were asking what's a basic step. Basic step, I think, for every business is set up a newsletter. And an old school email newsletter, which isn't at this point old school because it's actually having a very big moment right now. So a lot
emails,
of people, email lists are absolutely, they're one of the most sought after media companies from brands. So they're like, well, these things with Google traffic, we're not too sure about what's going to happen with Google, but you have an email list company, you have an email newsletter business, we'll buy that. So email newsletter businesses are selling for bigger multiples, meaning they're fetching a much higher premium price, if you will, than other counterparts, but it may be the same audience. So newsletters are having a massive moment, Substack, Beehive, etc. And so having a newsletter is great, but it's so basic, and even Gen Z is going back to reading emails. So there's a lot of stats saying Gen Z actually scrolls emails.
Really?
So it's again old is new. So
interesting.
So
next thing you know, we'll be writing each other letters again.
Hopefully not.
With calligraphy, like my grandfather used to do, right?
I've lost all my writing skills. I can barely function as signature at this point.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, emails.
Yeah.
What's causing that, I wonder?
Well, I think it's again just when you go onto social media, you have so much noise. So I think that again the simplification, right? I mean, another thing, and this is not really a popular thing, but certainly more popular than it used to be, is again a simplified phones, is stripping out the apps and having a very simple minimum dumb phone, if you will. That also has a higher. I mean, it's not rocketing, but it's climbing because there's such an interest in saying, I don't want all this noise. I don't want the push notifications. I don't want to go on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and see all these things because there's an addiction element to it, and some people know that. So if you're looking to avoid that for your mental clarity, mental health, then why would you log on to that? But you still want your news. So if you're still interested in a topic ABC, send me a clean email, give me summaries, and I'll click through the things I want to click through. But don't feed me a bunch of video streams. So.
Yeah, I find that too. Like if I'm, because we're all researching companies. If someone reaches out to me to want to do an interview, I jump on Instagram to check out their profile. Yeah. And next thing you know, half the time I'm lost. Yeah. And like a bunch of BS. Yeah. And then 10 minutes goes by and I'm like, what was I even looking at? It's those AI girls jumping up and down or whatever's on there, right? So you're right. So people are really looking a way to remove the distractions and focus on their intention. Yeah. They just want to focus on what they love.
Yeah.
rather than get lost and pulled in all these different directions.
And the benefit is for businesses, it's such a simple model because it still gets you the communications, and it's let's say protected or has a moat against Google algorithms and effectively any algorithms, because once you have the email list, it's an asset. It's those are people that have subscribed and chosen to subscribe to your email list, and that means you can send an email at push button and it's yours. You can't really do that on any of these platforms. Instagram, you don't know if your friends will even see it, or just some random people will see that maybe in their feed, or no one's going to see it. So you don't control.
I so wish I could just send a massive DM to all my followers.
Right.
But that function doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like,
different tool, yeah.
Doesn't that suck?
But it does. But that's exactly why if you have a great following on Instagram, you have all the social channels, and so, picking on you right now as Kid Carson, you have this social influence and these audiences and these channels. But what about all the other creators? Same thing. They might have YouTube subscribers, TikTok, and so on. What are they doing with it? Because if all you're keeping them doing is keeping them on a platform, you are in basic captive, if you will, to the algorithm, which you don't know how it's going to change. I mean, we had media companies. I think this is really important here. We had media companies that 2 years ago, when the AI started picking up, Google started making shifts towards wanting to become a AI engine. So, an answer engine, which they started moving towards all their internal materials. Started focusing towards we're going to be dominating, becoming an answer engine, which basically means they saw what we all see, or I think a lot of people in my world see, that we don't want to get 10 more blue links for our questions anymore. We want to get an answer, and that's what, of course, ChatGPT, etc., already does. But because of that, Google was already shifting towards AI answers. So the newsletter business boomed even more because of that. Because we're no longer with a newsletter. Once you have an email list, you're not, whatever might happen with Google tanking your business. And that's the point I was trying to make. Is we've seen media companies where 60% of the traffic was lost, meaning their revenue was lost, or the website visitors was lost, because Google tweaked here's how we're ranking your site now. This is how we ranked it yesterday, but this is how we rank it now. Boom, 60% of your traffic, and therefore 60% of your revenue, and that probably means about 85% of your actual profits gone, quote unquote, overnight. It took about 30 days, but within about one 30-day update, Google update, your business is just shattered. And that can happen, and obviously has happened with people getting Instagram accounts shut down. You will know some about this in terms of different channels,
shadow banned or something,
censorship, shadow bans, and so on. So it's you don't want to be kind of be helpless to that. So if you have the new email list, it's the most basic step. And once you do have an email list, if you have 20,000 initially, but 50, 100,000, so on eventually, you can build a membership out of that immediately, because it's just essentially a next logical step. You just install a software somewhere, or push them to a Facebook group if you want, which is free. Not the best choice, but you can push them to hey guys, since you're already members here, you're going to get a free membership in this, and all of a sudden now they're all members in some sort of community where they can interact and get some other benefits. And it could be a very simple step of, if you have a cafe, get an email list going, and then from that email list, invite them to these in-person things. And you don't have to look at how do we monetize it. No, that's not the point right now. You will monetize that by way of the fact they'll keep coming back to you. And if it gets big enough, then just like the run clubs, there's other tactics of how do you bring more revenue from that, sure. But initially, it's just how do we give you more value so you stick with us. I think that should be an initial focus. So
you have a cafe. Yeah. Next Thursday night, join us at 11:30 p.m. We're going to be sampling coffees.
Exactly.
You're saying they're doing it.
Yeah, that's
Budapest is a place doing that.
Yeah.
That's actually a fun idea.
Yeah.
Or like wine tasting or anything. Oh yeah, my mind's kind of racing now of the cool different things you could do with the community.
Yeah.
People just wanting to get together.
Hey, it's Kid. First of all, I'm so grateful you're here listening to this episode. I'd love to be able to share announcements with you, events, things coming up. Please join my email list from KidCarson.com.
If someone now is totally hyped to start a community, are there any mistakes or pitfalls, things you don't want to do when kicking this off?
Well, I think the number one thing is, again, that build it and they will come, the mentality. Just getting, we got the membership site, if it's digital, in place, or we got this virtual expo, which is, by the way, another extension of communities. We got that in place, so we're good to go. Or we organize this again, using the cafe thing. We got people. If that's what you're doing, that's probably pretty minimal. I think understanding that why is someone coming to that, whether it's an in-person event, and how can you foster, a communication between interaction with them, especially even more so in a digital space, of course. So if you have a digital membership, the biggest things we've seen media companies, and this is kind of a bit closer to our home because it's what we primarily deal with, is someone sets up, say, well, we have the millions of visitors per month. How do we then launch a membership? Okay, well, we'll get the script. Just like you said, we'll pay the $2,000, $3,000, whatever per month. We have this little script running. We have this software running. We have this thing set up. We made fancy logos. We put up a landing page. We're good. Okay, well, people will sign up. What's next, right? And so, how do you then have a community manager? There's roles involved with this that people need to look at. Is okay? Do I have a community manager? Do I have someone who can take that responsibility on? Because it's just like you said, there's a lot of work. Now, I don't think it's overwhelming amount of work. I think if it's a dedicated audience you already had, giving them a space to quote unquote hang out, even if it's digital, they'll kind of take it on their own. But you do need someone to foster. Should we launch some courses for them? Should we have a special guest interview thing for them? Should we have some sort of another one that's one of the animation clients did was they hosted I think we have once monthly they hosted these events where they had a media that catered towards people who are in animation industry or want to get into animation. So would be animators and current animators. And then the membership they launched is to have a chance to access different courses and content around same topic. But they would host this once a month a kind of hangout. Where they would have 500, 600 people come through. And just basically, it would just be an off-the-cuff conversation. It wasn't structured. It didn't have to be structured. It was just basically someone would obviously come in as a moderator. So the owners, one of the management team would come in and welcome everyone, etc. But there was no real, it wasn't packaged. It wasn't here, listen to us teach you this thing. It was more like we're all here. What are we talking about? Oh, you having this problem. You're trying to get hired. Who else? Oh, you guys recently got hired. You got some tips for this. And it was just a digital hangout. And no different than if you're sitting down around a fireplace and just drinking wine and having a conversation open. Because again, there's a common denominator already established. So the theme is quote unquote already built in. So we're all here because we're animators. So we don't need you to give us a theme. We'll talk about when but it's more, you still want to have someone who's a community manager say, is that happening? Are we setting up those opportunities for them? Or if it's just a digital sense, are we seeing those conversations happen? If not, there's concepts such as question seeding, where you post or pose a question and get people to respond. These kind of contests appear in a lot of apps as well, where they push the members to send in a photo or somehow gather around one core topic or theme, and then again that create that interaction. So, anyways, there's a lot of pitfalls that can happen, unfortunately. But the biggest one that we've seen is just simply thinking that we built it, we have the website, and we're good. You do need a human factor in there to kind of just nudge people along until they're comfortable. And I think it's no different than if you go into some sort of major event and you have that MC, welcome everybody and so on, just get people a bit warmed up. You kind of need that. So.
Yeah, I love that phrase you used, which was digital fatigue.
Right.
Because we tend to think that we're all moving into just getting sucked into this fake world, and we're all going to be lost and isolated and alone. But I think what you're saying is this is perhaps pushing us back into human connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it comes back to that social renaissance I mentioned earlier, where we do have a need, an inherent need, and of course we all know it's basic psychology. Humans need to connect, and even introverts, honestly. But they might connect with an AI companion, and that's okay. But we do need that.
It's weird, but it's okay.
Yeah. So we're as a Vancouver, I'd say I love that for them.
I love that for them.
That's not a thing in Europe, but apparently. But anyway, so what I see is what's going to happen with AI avatars. I think the reality of these AI avatars and AI companions is very real. I don't think there's any doubt around it. In fact, I think most of us will have our own AI avatar where we will program, here's my video, here's my image, here's the things how I speak, go answer his email for me. So it's not just auto typing to sound like me. It literally will send a video who literally sounds like me. And,
wow.
And so I think we'll have that. My own personal theory, we'll have that just like we have email addresses and social accounts. I think that's absolutely going to happen. But the reality is that's a tool. That's great. But I think we too will interact with so many of these avatars everywhere, whether it's customer service, whether it's social media, whether it's dating apps and so on, that the fatigue from that will push us towards let me get back to something real. And this offline pursuit of like in private clubs, private sports clubs, private members clubs, memberships, we will need that. Yeah.
It's inspiring, actually, to hear that.
Oh.
Yeah, because we all, those of us that have kids, we worry about what's going to be happening in the next 10 years for them.
I think the kids are already steps ahead of us. They're already saying, just I don't want to actually. They're joining the offline clubs.
Yeah,
they're part of the movement already.
That's pretty cool. Right on, dude. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
And now you got me thinking about a Kid Carson club again. With no angry mob.
Yeah, Kid Carson Run Club.
Kid Carson
without a running.
Without the running. Yeah, that'd be good. I'd be down for that. Rob, thank you, brother. This has been a lot of fun, man.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
And if you have any questions about the show, hit me up on Instagram at Kid Carson Official.